The Utah Utes take on Fresno State Saturday, and with anything, there's always two sides of the story. We bring in Jeremy Mauss of MWC Connection to tell us what to look out for as the Bulldogs visit Rice Eccles. Jeremy, thanks for joining us.
No problem, man. It's a pleasure.
Well, let's start off with what everybody wants to talk about. We have to start off with quarterback. Everybody knows how good Derek Carr was. Now it's Brian Burrell and Brandon Connett splitting time running the offense. What can Ute fans expect when Fresno State lines up on offense on Saturday?
Well, if we go against that USC game, probably a complete disaster if they somehow keep that up. They were outmatched, outmanned, four interceptions. They split time. They were just awful. I get replacing Derek Carr is very difficult. So many good wide receivers last year. They lost 5 players to the NFL, but they're going to split time. They don't know who their starter is. It's Burrell or Connett. Connett's a guy from Duke, more of a dual threat guy, but he had 3 picks. The offense moved probably just a hair better with Burrell, but they couldn't get anything done. They ran the ball okay at times, but when they're down so big, it didn't really matter. It's just they still want to throw the ball like they did last year too, when they had Isaiah Burst, Devontae Adams, everybody on that team who's very good. Josh Harper is currently on there now, but quarterbacks is going to be a rotation again, and they can't be worse than last week. That's what at least Fresno State fans are hoping for.
After that 52-13 loss, as you were mentioning, to USC last week, what does Fresno State need to do differently to get the offense rolling?
They need some more time because athletes are just so great in USC. Their front seven, their defensive front just was attacking. They didn't get too many sacks or tackles for loss, but they're always under pressure, had to move the pocket. If they can get some better protection, and again, I know Utah's defensive line's pretty strong, maybe not close to USC because historically it's always great with Coach Whittingham, but if they can give maybe another half second, that could make a big difference. That's what they need to do, better protection, and that should open a lot of things up.
Defensively, who stands out the most for the Bulldogs, and what defensive scheme will Utes fans expect to see?
Well, they run a kind of a multiple set of 3-4 as their base, but their best player is a defensive back, Deron Smith. I've seen first round potential from various NFL stuff this preseason and early on, so he's not going to really line up with any receiver unless Utah, when they didn't go 3 or 4 set, he may line up. Who knows? Kenneth Scott, Dres Anderson, Kalen Clay, maybe somebody on there, but not too often. He'll get interceptions. He goes after the ball, knocks the ball down. So he's the guy. He can make an impact, but he may see nothing because if Utah decides, okay, we'll throw to his other end of the field, not throw to him at all, he's making an impact, but nothing on the stats line. So they're kind of aggressive. They do have this name I know I'm going to screw up every time I say it, but Ejiro Ederon. He's a pretty good linebacker there for that team, and he's going to make a big difference. But again, it's just he's barely hasn't started too much, even though he's a junior. But he's one of the big guys they want to look out for.
Fresno State defense allowed USC to rack up 37 first downs and 701 total yards of offense last week. What adjustments defensively do you expect to see before they take on Utah's high-tempo offense?
Oh, man, USC ran over 100 plays, so if they could maybe give Utah 90 plays, if that's what's allowed, they just got worn out. That's the thing. If you run that many plays in USC, they're traditionally pro style, not super fast, but reasonably speeded offense. How many plays? But we know Utah wants to go fast. I don't know if they'll do 100 plays with what Dave Christensen's doing there as the OC, but a couple of things. They need first, the offense has to help the defense. If the offense can extend drives, the defense won't wear down, and that's what they really need to be done. They need to be aggressive as well. Just with Travis Wilson back there, he can make some good plays. It's just their defense is awful. It's hard to say at the moment, week 2, of how they'll be. But I think if their offense can give longer drives, that'll help out. And then the defense, if Deron Smith can make some plays there, because we know Utah's going to run multiple wide receivers, and I just think they got to be aggressive and go after it. Because Utah's offensive line, they made a few adjustments throughout this preseason and everything, but they can attack. That's what they need to do, and just force Wilson to throw the ball and make some plays.
Finally, who is one surprise player that could stand out Saturday for Fresno State?
It's got to be somebody in offense. I'm not going to say a quarterback, but just because we don't know who's going to be. It could be one of those two guys, but there's no way I'm going to predict if it's going to be Connett or Burrell's going to step up and do something good. I think it could be a running back. They have Marquise Waller, he ran for almost 100 yards last week. If they can get him to get more carries and keep the game close, I think he could have a pretty good game. Because if you get nearly 100 yards and over 6 yards a carry against USC's defense, I'd assume reasonably similar success. If they can get him going and not let Utah just pin back and attack the quarterback play if they're going to throw, that's, I think, who could be a guy to step up and open things up for them to not allow Utah just to do what they want and make Utah not guess, but have to balance, either go after the run or the pass. That's what they need to do to not just let Utah do what they want on defense.
Well, that wraps up this week's edition of 5 Questions. Thanks for joining us, Jeremy.
Thanks a lot, man.
And make sure to follow all of the Mountain West at MWCConnection.com. And where can fans follow you on Twitter?
If you want the site stuff, MWC Connection, or just Jeremy Mauss as well, has both stuff on there.